Okay. So
You see?
this deliberate this deliberate agricultural policies, um, do you have any in mind that you can share within 2 minutes?
Okay. This deliberate, for instance, when we take Ghana, like the examples that I make, we import lots of rice to Ghana, but we have fertile land in those areas. So why isn't it a deliberate policy that government in, let's say, 5 years, in 10 years, we want to fade the importation of rice? So that means that the local players, this is the incentives for you people. This is what we have to do. And in that 5 years, because it's deliberate, we have to make sure that it will be part and parcel of it. That means that Ghanaians have to, jump into the train by also consuming it because it's deliberate now. You see, we import poultry. We have a lot of people in that industry in Ghana here. Because we are importing it, there's a competition between the local players as well. So you see that when we are having a deliberate policy direction that in this number of years, this is what we want to do. And if you are able to put them down, gradually we are going to get there. Because if not, and today we take knee-jerk reactions. Oh, today we will do this. Today we are not doing this. Today we will do this. We are going to, kind of going around, but not achieving anything. So this deliberate policy, and when we come to the agriculture, we have to modernize agriculture. That means that you see that Ghana largely is subsistence farming, small holders farmers. We have to bring in more innovation into the agriculture sector. We have to go past the old ways of doing things. And for instance, in China, looking at their period in the agricultural revolution, the government even gave quotas to small farm owners. We want you to give us this tonnage of this. If you are able to do it, this is the incentive. You should create that, avenue. Let people be involved. Because at the end of the day, if the person, there's no policy involving anybody, the person produces, cultivates, and nobody is buying it, it goes waste. Who is benefiting and who is losing? You see, so when I'm talking of the deliberate policy, there is some of them. Government has to, make sure that government have been saying we want to do this, we want to do that. Planting for food on job, the essence of it was what? Increase food supply, create employment. But as it stands, it's kind of with the phase one has ended, and we are not seeing anything.
Yeah.
We're having issues with commodities and
Okay.
stuff. Then that means that you see, when we have that deliberate policy towards agriculture, the percentage of agriculture contribution to GDP will continuously be reducing. That means that there's something happening. It's
Okay.
reallocating the resources from agriculture to the industrialization drive,
Okay.
that which we want to get.
All right.
You see, so that's
Okay, so I think that is a laudable policy that you just suggested there. Should the focus also be, I mean, agriculture production towards focusing on exports or domestication or both? What should be the focus for the country, like especially developing countries whose aim is to use agriculture as a basis to grow its economy by providing jobs, etc. Should the focus be large-scale agriculture production that influences exports, or just for domestic consumption, or like agricultural production that targets these, like both of these?
okay. Thank you. I think both are they are not mutually exclusive, because when the policy at play, make sure that we have, cultivated enough that can feed us. Because in the sustainable development goes, we are driving towards what? Zero what? Hunger. Because UN estimate we have over 800 million people that are falls under the hunger bracket, that are in that bracket. So you see that first and foremost, as we say, charity begins at home. When you have the direction, a policy, knowing what you want to do, you are going to have enough to feed yourself, and you have excess or surplus to for export. Because, for instance, when we look at this cocoa stuff, you see that cocoa generates even the value chain. See the value chain of cocoa, as I said, as of 2019, this is the CEO saying that 100 billion industry. Now it's more than that. So how come an 100 billion industry and being the second largest, you are making only between 2 to 4 billion out of it? Then that means that something has to be done. You see, you are importing poultry, but you have the resources or you have the environment to increase your production of poultry. You are importing rice. You see, you have the environment that is conducive for rice cultivation. So when you are able to do this, because you have to drive domestic consumption, when we look at macroeconomics, the GDP as well, when you take the component of consumption, you see that it's the largest among all the variables. And for an economy also to move forward, or the drive, what would drive the economy, domestic consumption has to also be what has to be has to increase, because it has to be kind of effective to help drive that goal of development. So these two, domestic consumption and export, they go hand in hand. If you are able to produce, have a direction that is able to produce in abundance, then that when you are done feeding yourself, you have surpluses to export. You get it.
Yeah,
And there are things that the world is in need of, that you have a land, you have the land that is good at producing those things. You see, Nigeria is the number one in terms of cassava,
yeah,
number one also in terms of yam also. So when you talk of most of the crop that we use for pharmaceuticals, we use for industry and all those things, we have the arable land in cultivating those things. You see, so you have to make sure that you have a policy with a focus. And when we do that, that domestic, because domestic consumption, there is no an issue, because with the domestic consumption, you want to make sure that prices are always down. When you have it in abundance, you drive price down. You see the thing. So they go hand in hand. And but when we know what we want to do, we have the direction. Because as we are speaking, we don't have a plan. But if you go to the National Commission, the National Development Planning Commission, they have a draft, which is still there as a draft. And draft is not something which is a working policy. You see that thing. So when we have that, we will know you will be able to interrogate. And when you interrogate, you'll be monitoring what you are doing. Because if you are not monitoring what you are doing, then what is it that you are doing? You see that thing. So they go hand in hand, and you have to first focus on trying to understand, because you see, as I said, the subsistence farming, the way our land issues are also here is complicated. So you have to make sure that you have to understand the way our land system is in terms of ownership and stuff before you know what to do. Because, for instance, with China, they enacted a land reform and tried to make sure that land ownership and land leasing became favorable to people in agriculture, so that they can be able to cultivate and produce enough that can feed them and excess for export. So we have to take all those things into consideration, and we are fortunate that China has done it. So with them being able to do it, we don't need anything complicated. We can mirror it and try to drive something which is unique to us. And I'm
Okay.
sure they will be able to see the ripple
Okay.
effect
All right. So I
of
think
that.
you've, I mean, explained it, or you've mentioned it. If China was able to do it, I think any developing country can also do it. China was really serious, like they were determined and focused, and they set up
Exactly.
a national plan. And based on the plan,
Mm,
they were able to capitalize on agriculture, and through that, they were able
exactly.
to, enhance exports. Export is the major thing. Once you have the foreign currencies coming in, it helps to build your economy and then make your currency also strong in that. But
Exactly.
a country that depends on imports, just like Ghana and other developing countries like Nigeria, etc. When your import volumes are high, it tends to cripple your own currency, and it has,
Exactly.
rippling effect on your economy because you are paying out to other countries. Nothing is coming in, and it's really, it's serious. Okay, George. Thanks for coming in again today. I think we wanted to keep the conversation just 15 minutes, but I think we've done 30 minutes again today, just like the other time. 30 minutes or less.
Wow.
Yeah, but our next conversation, I will try to get everything working before we even start. So thank you for coming again today. And we urge everyone to kindly subscribe to this channel and also click on notification icon so that whenever we post new videos, you'll be the first to get it and then come to watch it. Thanks.